So one of my viewers expressed, I don't know if it was jokingly or honestly, anger that I do not consider Mediterranean people to be white, and because I'm a quarter Mediterranean, I don't believe myself to be white. Um, well, the fact of the matter is, as will be shown in the links in the description, the intermixing of the Mediterranean people of North Africa, Europe, and the Middle East goes back to ancient times and, of course, pre-Islamic times. But Greeks, Italians, Egyptians, Syrians, all these people intermixed for many, 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 many thousands of years, and it goes back to ancient times. This is why Mediterranean people do not look like Northern European people. Okay? It's just the facts. Now, a lot of people don't understand this, but do I am a eugenist, but what makes me odd is I also agree with the need for improved environment. The reason why is because genetic potential cannot be reached without certain environmental factors being in place. Most of these are nutritional. For example, just for simple DNA synthesis, and I don't like saying this, but the most important. Hold on. Oh, you gotta love living where I live. But what I would like to say is, even for basic DNA synthesis, the various vitamins and minerals are needed. Vitamin C, niacin, vitamin K, folate, zinc, and magnesium are needed just for basic DNA synthesis to take place. It's also been found that with a prenatal multivitamin, with the prenatal multivitamin, it seems to decrease the risk of autism by roughly 50%. Okay, and as we know, if you compare the heights of North Koreans to South Koreans, both are short because genetically they do not reach a very large height. Both are short, both North Koreans and South Koreans. But the average South Korean is about half a foot, 6 inches taller than your average your South Korean is an average of 6 inches taller, half a foot taller than your average North Korean, due to their their ability to readily access higher protein foods and more micronutrient rich foods. The B vitamins are obviously extremely important to nerve functioning and brain functioning. Failure to thrive is predominantly a nutritional deficiency. I don't like to say one nutrient is any more important than any other nutrient. I like the idea, which it's not really an idea, it's actually pretty well proven, but I like Joel Wallach's idea of the 90 essential nutrients. The it goes through the vitamins, amino acids, and minerals that are essential to life, and includes vitamin P. People don't know what vitamin P is. Vitamin P is plant pigments. It's phytonutrients. People forget about that. It was never considered a vitamin because they say that without it you can do just fine, but that's not really true because it's needed for tissue integrity and also for its antioxidant benefits. And now we're finding it also helps with gene expression and controlling gene expression, preventing cancer, reversing the aging process, all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, that is not the vitamin P or phytonutrients are not really avoidable. Vitamin K is another nutrient that's very necessary. Not having enough vitamin K causes double-strand chromosome breaks, just like being irradiated. So, and Dr. Bruce Ames talked about this in his triage theory of aging and disease. And I'll be talking about this again in the epigenetic theory of aging, or the informational/epigenetic theory of aging. I think Bruce Ames, Dr. Wallach, and a couple others actually do a much better job than Dr. Sinclair, although I will include some of David Sinclair's work because he is at the forefront of it at the moment. But my point is that you do not know what anyone's genetic potential is unless they can receive adequate nutrition. And that's not really possible in the current state that this country's in. And that's a big problem. Now, I'm not going to. Now, what I want to show, and I'm getting into this, the gentleman from Pakistan that stated that, that the people in Brazil are predominantly European genetically. Now, what I want to point out is we do not know who was genetically tested. See, this happened with the alleged super high Ashkenazi IQ. What happened was they basically gave IQ tests to Ashkenazi Jewish kids that were in schools that required high academic performance just to get into the school. So, of course, you're going to have a higher IQ if you require a higher level of academic performance to get into that school. I would also like to point out that the average Israeli IQ is lower than the average United States IQ. Israel is 100% Jewish, and the United States has pockets of very low IQ'd groups all throughout it that would bring down the average IQ, and our average IQ is still a couple points higher than Israel. Okay, so this magical thing obviously doesn't exist. But the thing is, where I was going with this is we don't know whose genes they tested in Brazil to get this research. And also what I would like to point out, European does not mean white. As I stated, I do not care. People will go, you have to understand, white is not a scientific term, first off. That is not an anthropological term. Nobody is white, anthropologically speaking. Okay? That is a political term. People are Caucasoid, people are Germanic, people are Nordic, people are Semitic, people are, various different Celtic. There are various different types of thing, but they are not white. White is, unfortunately, now when you say the word white, people should know what you mean, and it generally means people of Northern European descent. It is only extremely recently that we started including Southern Europeans, North Africans, and people like that into the mix of what is considered white in the United States. That being said, in the description, I give links to videos showing people on the periphery of being white, such as Syrians and the other Levantine people, Ashkenazi Jews, Sephardic Jews, folks of this type of thing, Berbers, etc. And then I show, in the description, there are links to people, and mestizos and things like that. Then I have links to videos showing, how can I put this? Links showing indigenous people. No, not indigenous people. How did I do this? So it goes from, first it goes to Mediterraneans, Romanians, Armenians, people that are generally considered white nowadays. Then under that you have the links to the people that are on the peripheries of what's considered white, such as the Levantine people, the Ashkenazi Jews, the Sephardic Jews, etc. Then under that you have a link to indigenous people like the Mayans, the Rapa Nui, people like that. So you can compare the differences of these various people. But what you will note is a Romanian or an Italian and a Tunisian don't look very different. They don't look very different. An Armenian and a Berber don't look very different depending on where you're getting, like where they're at on the spectrum. You have to remember race. Now, a lot of people, gender is not on a spectrum. You are either a male or a female. Period. That is chromosomally assigned. You are either a man or a woman, a male or a female. You either have two X chromosomes, or you have an X and a Y chromosome. However, race is on a spectrum. That's very true. Okay? But that's very much ignored primarily by people that want to exploit that, either for their own. Now, what you'll notice is the feel sorry for me people, the minority groups that were the feel sorry for me people, have now become outright supremacist in nature. And the white people have unfortunately become the feel sorry for me people, although some of them are still clinging to these ideas of, superiority and all this stuff. And people get mad at me a lot of times that I grew out of this crap. But the reason I grew out of this, and like I said in my one video about how biological anthropology helped me to outgrow racism, the thing is, when people start understanding the origins of the human race, the human species, I should say, and the different breeds of human and how they broke away and what's what and where these people came from and where these other people came from and how it comes out. And I'm not a believer in the out of Africa theory. I stated that in another video. I believe that Homo erectus, it's not that different from the out of Africa theory, but I believe that Homo erectus radiated out of Africa. And then these Homo erecti basically bred with Neanderthals, Denisovans, and also evolved due to epigenetic stressors, epigenetic factors, through nutrition and different degrees of sun and all this. That's what I believe, and I'm not alone in that theory. A lot of anthropologists still believe that. A lot of people think that, it's the same thing with the global warming nonsense. A lot of people think that the science is settled. The science is settled. The science is not settled. It's not settled on race. It's not settled on global warming. It's not settled on human origins. And that's the truth. That's the truth. And it's very ignorant of many people to think it is. And that's all for this video, but do please follow the links in the description. There's a lot of links showing that what I'm saying is accurate. And that's all for this video.